Eden by obsessmuch. Read by SsjDeBusk. I don't own Harry Potter or Eden. Harry Potter is owned and written by J.K. Rowling and the WB, and Eden is written by obsessmuch on fanfiction.net. Dun 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 dun. Okay, anyway. You remember that song Popcorn? That song needs to shut the fuck up. Okay, anyways. Chapter 34, Irredeemable. Oh my god, dude. I don't remember what happens in this chapter. These last chapters are a blur until you get to the very end. Okay, I read like all of these in one sitting. I just remember I don't remember what happened. A lot of stuff happens. There's a lot of interpersonal issues that are not present in the beginning chapters. A lot of them talking, but it's not like them talking like him being like, do this, do that. It's like him talking like, what should we do? We should do this. I kind of want to do this. No, let's do this. Okay, let's do this. It's kind of like, it's more equalized and it's enjoyable. Anyways. Oh, Rose, thou art sick, the invisible worm that flies in the night, in the howling storm, has found out thy bed and thy crimson joy, and his dark secret love, does thy life destroy. William Blake, the sick Rose. You will never get away from me. I'm damned if I'll give you up. I'll never let you go. Do you understand me? Those words from him so long ago. I still have nightmares about those words. Though everything he said afterwards, that evening, blurs and distorts itself over time, those words remain clear in my memory. His voice was harsh, angry, desperate, and yet absolutely certain. He was not going to give me up. He knew that then, just as he knows it now, even though he didn't understand why. He won't end what's going on between us just because Ron knows. I know that he won't, because he knows that Ron will keep the secret for me forever if he has to. So it falls to my lap then. How am I going to end this? How could I ever end this? Will he even let me end this? Not if what he said to me so long ago still holds true for him. And why shouldn't it? There's nothing he said or done since to indicate otherwise. You'll never get away from me. Perhaps there's only one way out of this for me. The one irrevocable way out for me, for both of us. I'd be doing Ron a favor. God knows he probably doesn't even want to see me again. Not after what I've done. A tear trickles down my cheek in the memory of Ron's face. But I angrily brush it away. I can't let myself wallow in self-pity. I don't deserve pity, not from anyone. I brought this all on myself. You've brought this upon yourself, Hermione. He was right. I must have done something to make him want me so badly. He'd go against anything and everything for me. It must be my fault. Somebody's texting me. It must be my fault. I can't keep laying all the blame on him. But I never tried. I didn't ever want things to be this way. It's not as if I haven't tried to end it all forever. Countless times I've tried, but he's always been there to keep me in his hold. Even though he said time and time again he'd do anything to be able to end it between us. Anything, it seems, except letting me go forever. I'm damned if I'm going to give you up. He's a paradox. A walking, breathing paradox. A pure-blood supremacist sleeping with a mudblood. A husband and father incapable of love. A black-hearted monster in a disguise of the impossible elegant aristocrat. I mean, look at this room. It's beautiful. So elegantly furnished. He cares so much for his appearance, and for using every last trick he can to show his refinement, and yet his soul is so black and so twisted that he's perhaps the ugliest thing I've ever come across in my entire life. I will never You will not get away from me. Drowning is one of the better ways to die. That's what people say. And how can I believe that? I've almost drowned twice since I was captured, and I couldn't say that either of those occasions have been pleasant experiences. Besides, last time I tried that, he stopped me once again, saving me, after trying to drown me himself first. I'll never, ever let you go. I could try hanging. That might work. Perhaps I could use a bedsheet and twist them into ropes. But no, there's nothing I could hang myself from. I could watch. I don't want to slit my wrists either. I don't think that I'd be able to force myself to do so. And my wrists have been slashed twice now, and both times it hurts so badly. I just don't think I could do it again. And so I'm trapped then. Trapped in this horrible, twisted, fruitless relationship with him. It's not a relationship anyways. I sink down to the floor, clinging to the roots of my hair, trying desperately to make the throbbing, all-encompassing agony I'm feeling inside me go away. Sometimes I think the only one real happiness I can imagine is to die. But how can I do this to Ron? I've never seen someone with a broken heart before this evening. The way he looked at me with such betrayal. He'll never trust me again. He probably won't even be able to look at me. It starts off as a silent weeping, my tears rolling softly down my cheek, but before long sobs are riding through my chest and bursting out loud of my mouth, out of my mouth, and soon I'm keening, almost choking on my own misery, rocking back and forth as I sit on my knees. Oh God, everything's ruined. Everything that could have been between me and Ron is lost forever. The love, the relationship, perhaps even marriage, and children we could have had, and family birthdays and Christmases. It's all gone. Warm fingers hook onto my chin, bringing my face up. I didn't even hear him come in. I look into his face. I have no choice. When has he ever given me any choice? I look into his face and truly wish I were dead. His cruel, hated, pale face is the one thing I have left in this whole world now. All I can cling on to is him, because if I don't hold on to him, then it will all have been in vain. I've lost everything because of him, and so now I have no option but to hold on to him to make it all worthwhile. That's not a fighting talk. You can live without him. You know that you can. I don't know anything anymore. My mind, once so full of facts and knowledge, is empty. All that fills it is gray matter. All I know is how to feel. Things don't come naturally to me anymore. His face is arched, he's angry. But it's not a quiet, contained anger. But it's a quiet, contained anger. He's not angry with me, specifically. Oh, what does it matter? What does any of it matter anymore? He reaches out, brushing my tears away with his thumb. God, why does he do this? Why does he let me believe that he might be capable of any real feelings? It's so unfair, because I know that he can't love. Not even a little bit. But he still does little things like this. Just like when he fell asleep with his arms around me. God, was that only last night? Any show of kindness or affection from him only ever succeeds in breaking my heart just a little bit more. Because either it's false affection, or he's lying to me about how he really feels. Either way, I can't win. He brings his thumb to rest on my chin, and for a long moment I just stare at him, looking as if he'd do anything to understand something about me, but he can't, no matter how hard he tries. It's a fierce look of determination, concentration, but utter hopelessness you wear when you're pushing against a brick wall. Eventually he takes a deep breath through his nose. You once told me that you'd never cry, that I'd never see you cry again, he murmurs. And yet every time I see you, they never seem to cease. It's you who causes them, that's why, I whisper. If they irritate you so much, you have yourself to blame. He lets his mouth set itself into a thin line for a moment. I didn't say that they still irritated me, he mutters. God, I just can't believe him. So how do they affect you now? I ask, allowing my words to bite, to hurt. I suppose that now you enjoy them, don't you? It's probably the highlight of your day, to see me face wet with tears, isn't it? There's a short pause while he just looks at me, before he shakes his head slightly. You seem to be laboring under the misapprehension that I enjoy misery, he murmurs, his eyes not leaving my face. I feel myself snap in half. Well, don't you? I ask, feeling my voice rise. God knows you seem to spend all your time trying to make me as miserable as humanly possible. He drops his hand from my face abruptly, and I can see the beginnings of a temper flaring in his eyes. And why shouldn't you be miserable? He asks violently, viciously. Why shouldn't you be as miserable as I am? Don't you dare, I stutter, hardly able to speak with my rage. Don't you dare compare how I feel to how you feel. You have lost. What have you lost through what's going on between us? Your beliefs? Your ideals? What the hell do they matter? He looks angry, so angry, but I don't stop speaking. I'm past caring. Caring is a distant memory for me. Whereas I have lost everything I ever loved. Everyone I ever cared for. I whisper, tears trickling down my cheeks again. They're for his enjoyment. My parents are dead. I'll never see any of my friends again. And Ron... I choke in my own misery, then letting my head fall forward so that I don't have to look at him anymore. To look at him only reminds me of everything I've given up for him. You've really gotten what you wanted now, haven't you? You really have got me all to yourself. You don't have to worry about Ron anymore. He hates me. He probably hates me more than anything else in the world. I stop breathing, trying to subdue the sobs that are racking my chest. He sighs, and then he hooks his fingers under my chin again, making me look at him once more. He just looks at me, a little blank. He won't tell anyone what he has seen. He says bluntly, he cares too much for you to do so. You know that. I don't care whether he tells anyone or not, I retort, almost screaming at him. If anything, his willingness to help me makes it even worse. Don't you understand? What matters is how I taken Ron's trust and I've torn it to shreds. He's the best, most decent person I know, and I've hurt him in the worst way humanly possible. He takes a deep breath, his eyes narrowing slightly. What does it matter what he thinks of you? He asked, almost hesitantly. I just gape at him for a moment, swimming in the sea of incomprehension. It matters, I whisper. It matters more than anything in the world. Can't you see? How can you even need to ask that question? His mouth sets itself into a thin line once more, before he answers in a quiet, still tone. Last night, you asked me why it mattered, what Bellatrix thinks of me. He says, his voice a little tiny thread of iron. Why are you entitled to be suspicious when I am not? I shake my head. You just don't get it, do you? I mutter. You never loved Bellatrix. You never loved anybody. Not even your own son. But Ron. I loved Ron. Can't you see? I still do. A muscle goes in his jaw. His eyes are very different from normal, whereas normally they're as cold as frozen lakes. Now they're blazing with fire. He takes a deep breath after a long, agonizing pause. You fool, he mutters. How can you still, After everything that's happened.